And joining us now in Rome is the Australian Ambassador Designate to Libya, David Ritchie. David Ritchie, thank you so much for being there for us.
No problems, Emma. Very nice to talk to you.
Now, can you give us a sense of what the past month or so has been like from a diplomatic perspective, negotiating for Melinda Taylor's release?
Well, I think everyone will understand it's been a very busy time for us. I've spent the better part of 3 weeks in Libya working on that, as have many of my colleagues. Basically, the challenge is that we have a principal objective. My main purpose was to ensure that she was being well treated and to bring about her release. There are a number of other players who also have other purposes. The Libyans, of course, believe that something very serious happened and are very concerned about, at the moment, about opposition to the regime and remnants of the Gaddafi forces. Libya is a country in transition. They have major elections this weekend on the 7th of July. There are very important issues at stake: security, the future of Libya. On the other hand, the International Criminal Court, as Lisa has just explained, has powers arising from UN Security Council Resolution 1970, which enable it to prosecute cases like the Saif al-Islam case. And the International Criminal Court requires not only a prosecution of that case, but that the defendant be able to defend himself. And then the court provides for an adjudication as well. So it approaches it from all those angles. And the international community, including Australia, is a friend both of the new Libya, and we've been a very strong supporter of the new Libya and the building democracy in the new Libya, and of the International Criminal Court. So wending our way through that series of interests towards a solution which would not only make sure that Melinda and the others were very well treated, but that they were in the end released, was a very tricky exercise.
I bet. Now, she's been accused of smuggling secret letters to Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, compromising Libya's national security. She's also said to have taken in a hidden camera. Now, you were on a very long car journey back to Tripoli from Zintan with her. Did she discuss those matters with you? Well, for a start, Emma, let me just clarify something. I wasn't in the same car as her. But,
yeah, so, no, I think it would be rather tricky to have done that. But, no, the Libyans allege that she handed documents to Saif al-Islam. They also allege that she had devices with her, not necessarily in the room, I might add, but certainly devices with her. And they treat that very seriously, and I think we at our peril underestimate that. The matter is a very, very serious one in Libya, and the Libyan government has been at great pains to point out, not only to me, but obviously to Senator Carr and to others who have spoken to them, that they regard this matter as a very serious matter, and to some extent as a major breach of trust on the part of the ICC, an institution they believe in. Now, I wasn't in the room. The ICC has procedures, some of which need to be improved, as Senator Carr has said, for these sorts of cases. It's best that the two protagonists sort that out directly, and that is the ICC and the Libyans. And that is the reason why the Attorney General of Libya, having completed a solid investigation into what happened, with the ICC, with an ICC lawyer present to represent Melinda Taylor's interests, why the Attorney General went to The Hague and presented the outcomes of that investigation to them, and then discussed what the next steps might be.
There have been suggestions that these accusations of espionage are really just about a misunderstanding on the part of the Zintani militia about the role and sort of prerogative of Western-style defence teams and the mechanisms that they use. In your experience with this, is that potentially what's at play here, that there is a misunderstanding about the way Western-style defence is conducted?
Well, I think that's part of it. I think, but having said that, there are Many, of course, enormously sophisticated people in Libya who completely understand the way a normal legal system operates. Part of the exercise has been for the ICC to be able to explain to people that the case against Saif al-Islam from the ICC perspective doesn't just include the prosecution of Saif al-Islam, but an ability for Saif to be able to defend himself, so a genuine case. Equally, I might say, Emma, part of what we had to do, and we did this with the very strong support of some very good people in the Libyan government, including, I should say, the Deputy Foreign Minister Mohammed Abdulaziz, was to explain to the Zintanis and to people locally who were incredibly suspicious following this incident that we have a right to ensure that our citizens are well treated and that we have a right to access to our citizens. That's not a concept that they necessarily understood either.
Oh, right. And so I'm interested from your perspective, given you are the Ambassador Designate and have spent quite a bit of time there of late, just if you can give us some perspective on the political situation there, because, of course, part of the tension here lies in the fact that there is a lot of unease about potential Gaddafi loyalists emerging, especially around the time that we are heading for elections in Libya. Is that a valid concern in Tripoli, that there are pro-Gaddafi loyalists still at play?
Certainly the Libyans believe that, and they believe it very strongly, which is one of the reasons why they regarded this incident so seriously and why they regard the prosecution of Saif al-Islam as a key part of building, or those, not just him, but for example, others who were associated with the previous crimes of the previous regime, as such an important part of building a new democracy. But bear this in mind, Libya has never had elections, let alone free and fair elections. It is building completely new institutions of democracy. And on the 7th of July, this coming Saturday, Libya has a major election for the very first time, really, with parties and other things, to elect a National Assembly that will form a government, but will also draft a new constitution for Libya. So this is a very sensitive, very difficult and very important time for the new Libya. And they are certainly worried about the security situation and, in particular, pro-Gaddafi elements in neighbouring countries and elsewhere. So all of that goes into the mix as well.
David Ritchie, we have to leave it there. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.
It was a pleasure, Emma.